Annunciation Radio presents Say Yes to Life with Peter Range, Senior Fellow for Strategic Initiatives at the Center for Christian Virtue.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Say Yes to Life, where we learn to embrace our Catholic faith in the secular world. I'm your host, Peter Range, Senior Fellow for the Center for Christian Virtue, and welcome to show number 458 as we continue the fight for every single human life, born, preborn, and yours in our world today. On today's show, I'm tremendously excited to welcome Nelly Roach, CEO of Choose Life Marketing. With more than 20 years of experience in business, Nelly Roach's passion for the pro-life mission stems from a deeply personal experience, which we'll hopefully get to hear about today. But at 18, facing an unexpected pregnancy, she found herself in an abortion clinic preparing to make a difficult decision. But in that moment, Nelly realized that there had to be a better choice. Courageously, she walked out, choosing life for her son. This defining moment sparked her fervent dedication to helping pregnancy centers reach women in similar situations. As CEO of Choose Life Marketing, Nelly has combined her personal story with her marketing expertise to create strategies that not only save lives, but also transform futures, one mother and one baby at a time. Now, with her leadership extending to Cogency Strategic, she continues to drive pro-life campaigns forward, harnessing her lifelong journey and bold strategic vision to create lasting impact that changes hearts, minds, and futures. On today's show, Nelly and I are going to be talking about her life, her work, and if pro-lifers should be using artificial intelligence to advance the cause for life. I'm super excited to talk about this. But first, let's go ahead and take 180 seconds around Ohio and the nation to talk about what's happening in the pro-life movement and the news. First, Life News is reporting a Catholic university is providing abortion coverage in the healthcare plans. Loyola University Chicago continues to cover abortion care services through its campus health plan, according to the certificate of coverage published by the United Healthcare. Loyola has covered abortion since at least 2022, and the health insurance coverage stands in contrast to the teachings, as we know here on the show, of the Catholic Church, which has always opposed the intentional killing of innocent preborn babies. Friends, this is simply wrong, and I hope Loyola University reverses course immediately. Secondly, from Operation Rescue, Florida sees a 16% decrease in abortion facilities and a 45% decrease in abortions. Troy Newman, president of Operation Rescue, stated that with a permanent closure of just 9 clinics, the state of Florida saw a 45% reduction in the number of babies killed. This is a state with the third highest number of abortion clinics in the nation, right after California and New York. The work is far from over, but more lives are saved every time a clinic closes its doors for good. Now, we need to focus on stopping the trafficking of abortion drugs that are flooding into our country, but good news, every time an abortion facility certainly closes for sure. All right, third and finally, tomorrow is the 53rd March for Life in Washington, D.C., and I hope to see you there. I get to be on stage, Sean. I'm very excited. I don't get to speak. They're not that crazy, but please pray for safe travel of all the pilgrims heading down to the march. It's supposed to be negative 22 in Detroit, where I fly out of tomorrow, but it's important we pray and march, because still in this nation, nothing is taking more human life than the issue of abortion. Over 1 million babies each year are killed in this nation, and nearly 63 million, according to the World Health Organization, worldwide, each year are killed. This is Revelation-type numbers. And it's a sign of societal sickness that we're killing our own children. It must end, and it must end with us. One person working towards that end is Nelly Roach, who joins us now, CEO of Choose Life Marketing. Nelly, welcome to Say Yes to Life.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a great honor to be here.
I really appreciate that. Nelly, let's just start with your story. Tell us where you grew up, your faith journey, if you feel comfortable doing so, and how you found yourself in an abortion clinic at 18 years of age.
Well, let's start. I was actually born on a tiny island nation called Palau. I was raised in a Catholic family, so faith was part of my upbringing, but like many people, there was a gap between faith as tradition and faith as something fully lived and formed. So my father passes away, and that loss created a void I didn't yet have the tools to really understand or process. So at a young age, I began looking for love, security, and even belonging in all of the wrong places. I didn't see it that way at the time. I was just trying to feel safe, chosen, and also very much valued. So at 18, I found myself unexpectedly pregnant. Mm-hmm. What stands out to me now is how alone I felt. I wasn't thinking in political or theological terms. I was more overwhelmed by fear, fear of failure, fear of being abandoned, fear that motherhood would erase any chance of a future. So walking into an abortion clinic felt less like a choice and more like the only door I could possibly see open in that moment. So that experience changed me. It revealed how vulnerable women are when we experience grief and isolation and all of that and pressure collide. And so, and how easily a solution can be presented when real support is missing. And that was my experience as a young lady trying to broach into a future and found myself in my perceived crisis.
So in that spot of fear and not sure what to do, what made you walk out? What was the impetus to say, you know what, maybe I can do this? Or was it the fear of going through with the abortion and what that might mean?
I actually was sitting in the abortion clinic, and I was praying. I was praying and thinking, I know this is wrong, just really trying to reason with God. I know this is wrong, but right, I could make a better impact if I didn't have a baby right now. How can I, how can I be able to take the responsibility of being a good adult and going to school? And I was reasoning in that seat. I was reasoning with God. As I stood up, in my heart, in my bones, I hear it like in my body saying, "Choose me." So as they called my name, as you turned left, I would have gone behind the front desk and into the abortion bed, mind you. But I turned right and walked out of the door. And it was definitely a moment that, it just is grounded, right? It's grounded in who you are. You can't, like it's so true and so biblical that you teach the ways of the Lord, and it comes back. And that's what I experienced is I can't do this. It's not right.
Nelly, can I ask where the father was in the picture here? Was he just kind of standing back and saying, hey, it's your choice? Was he pressuring you in any way, shape, or form? Or was he just absent from the situation completely?
He was completely absent in the emotional aspect. He was there, but he said, "I do whatever you want. This is your future. Do whatever you want." So there was not a non-committal. I mean, it was a non-committal kind of statement where I stood there thinking, "Oh, he doesn't want to, so
yeah,
this is probably the right way." Now, I found out later that that's not what he wanted. That he was not wanting me to have an abortion, but he didn't have the right words.
Boy, the more that I hear stories like yours and others, I'm just more convicted that men need to have a voice and agency and to stand up for kind of what's right in this situation. And I've spoken to a lot of men that felt the same way. They felt like, well, it wasn't really my place. Like I wanted to have the baby, but it wasn't my place to speak into. But I think we've been cultured that way so much in our society today to step back and say, hey, this is all a woman's choice. But at the end of the day, it takes two to tango. And this is much of the father's child as it is the mother's. So to empower our young men to step up and say, you know what, I will be a father to this child and a husband to you. I think we'd have so many more people choosing life. And I think that's from a scriptural perspective as well. Joseph, when he's called by the angel Gabriel, it's do not be afraid to take Mary as your wife. It's not just protect the baby, but it's take Mary as your wife. And when the family unit is together, we know the baby's going to be okay. Nelly, walk us through leaving that abortion facility then. Praise God that you turned to the Lord in prayer and, sought his will. But walk us through starting Choose Life Marketing. I mean, how soon did that happen? And then what is your team doing today to continue to help further the pro-life cause?
Yes. So leaving that facility, it didn't magically fix my life. But what it did, it actually opened my eyes. I began to see that the issues wasn't that like that women don't value life, because obviously I was raised to be pro-life. It's all that I had known. So, and it's that too often they don't see a viable path forward. And the abortion industry understands that fear and meets that woman right there, right? So she's fearful, and they have a solution right there. And especially online in today's landscape. So life-affirming care, on the other hand, has historically been harder to find. And that is just the landscape in itself. The opposition is strong and louder, has more resources. So there were harder, and it was harder to get at the moments of crisis. And so, but years later, the realization led to me, finding Choose Life Marketing. I was actually called to speak at a conference, and as I was walking out, someone had reached out to me and said, hey, so we think that you can help us. And it was an organization out of Jefferson City, Missouri. But I believe it was divine. Because they said, well, I think you could really help us. We are in the pro-life movement, and I think what you have said regarding marketing could really be used in our movement. And I was pro-life. Remember, I was raised pro-life. This organization did not know anything about my story. And I felt like, God was pursuing me at that moment in time as I reflect back. And so I go into this organization and I'm pitching, because I'm in marketing, right? So I'm pitching about how I can help. And at the moment I was done, I felt good. And the CEO at the time said, hey, Nelly, what's your story? And I'm going to tell you, Peter, no one had ever asked me that. So I started crying. I said, here's my story. And so I was able to go through the ugly cry, the sniffles, because I wasn't eloquent in telling my story. It was just super raw. And as he sat there, I just knew that God was pursuing me at that time. My husband and I owned a marketing company at that time as well. And it was flourishing, but I just felt so empty during the course of all of the success until that moment that this gentleman asked me what my story was. And so as I'm pouring out this vulnerability and this pain and the struggle and the conflict, I walked away with wanting to explore that and be curious about what was inside of me and what I was experiencing. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to close down this secular marketing company, and I'm going to open Choose Life, specifically because I wanted to make sure that that I was listening in obedience, and that it was part of my healing process. Because I felt very convicted and very ashamed that I was sitting in an abortion clinic, understanding what it smelled like, how much it cost. Everything that was in me was not in alignment with where I was. So that's how, just stepping into, stepping into obedience. And what was really interesting about all that, as I reflected back, there were many moments where God, I felt, was pursuing me at the time, and I wasn't recognizing it. And this was very, very clear at that moment that I needed to fall on my knees, pray in discernment, and figure out what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And here I am. Today, my team works with pregnancy help centers, medical clinics, pro-life organizations across the country to help them reach women earlier before it becomes a crisis into a decision. Um, we do specialize in digital outreach, data-driven strategy, and of course AI technology, so that we can ensure that women have answers. And she finds that it's credible and life-affirming care as opposed to just going into our opposition's realm and not really know the resources and the help that's out there for her. So in practical terms, we help the pro-life movement show up where women already are and do so with as much clarity as we can pray through and empathy.
Well, it's just so important that the first option that people are going to encounter, or these young mothers and fathers as they're seeking help, is life-affirming care. We don't want the first conversation to be with Planned Parenthood, who, as you mentioned, these abortion facilities, they focus on that fear, and that's where they stay with their clients, unfortunately, to kind of move them down the line towards abortion. And so to give them hope, to give them a path, a viable path forward, as you were speaking about before, is just so incredibly important. But what a powerful question, a powerful pro-life question. Tell me your story. And maybe the next time we find ourselves in a discussion or debate with someone on this life issue, maybe we can all take a step back and say, hey, tell me your story. Before we go further into this, let's just talk a little bit about our stories. The French philosopher Camus said, God made man because he loves stories. And so stories, and when we share them, can be healing. They can be illuminating to understanding where the other person might be coming from, and can help us move those hearts and minds to eventually move people, ultimately at the ballot box and other places as well. But you mentioned AI, and so I want to get to that because this is just such an interesting question to me. My wife and I talk about it a lot. And, if my wife was here on the radio show, she'd be like, stay away from AI completely. And I completely respect her, opinion on this. And in many ways, seeing some of the dangers of AI, it's like, gosh, we don't need more technology in this world. Like, we just need more human interaction. With that being said, Generation Z is a generation of people who are interested in AI. And you wrote in your article that 80% feel moderately comfortable using AI for health-related content to go seek answers, including on the life issue. So let's talk about the pro-life movement as a whole and about this article that you wrote about embracing artificial intelligence. First, let's get to, have you seen evidence that the left is using AI? And then, how can we use AI, artificial intelligence, in the pro-life movement? Can we use it for the good?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So Planned Parenthood and allied organizations are already using AI-driven tools for ad targeting. We know that. From a marketing standpoint, we see that. They use it for search optimization. They have chat-based intake. They do predictive modeling as well as messaging. The two most popular one is Charlie and Rue. And so they have been using AI for several years now. So this isn't theoretical. It's actually operational and it's effective. The danger for the pro-life movement isn't AI itself. It's, in my opinion, it's the hesitation. AI allows us to respond to women in real time, personalize support, reduce staff burnout, and it does significantly increase reach without sacrificing compassion. Yes, Generation Z, they are more likely to schedule an appointment online with an AI than pick up the phone. This is a generation that they are fearful and have anxiety over, talking to someone.
Just making a phone call, right?
Yes, just to make a phone call. And so it can power 24/7 engagement, guiding women to local resources, and just really ensuring that no one falls through the cracks simply because they reach out at the wrong hour. And so we did create Olive, which is an AI scheduler for the pro-life movement. It doesn't counsel. It doesn't minister. It doesn't replace people. What it does do is it allows for for women who need solutions after hours, and for them to be able to have something that they can schedule an appointment and then go to sleep. They have something that they can count on the next day. And so that's what we're offering. So used ethically, AI doesn't replace human care. It actually scales it. If you're in business, it scales it. It accelerates our impact. And if one side is using the most advanced tools available to steer women toward abortion, the other side, I believe, has a responsibility to use those same tools to offer life, support, and absolutely hope. And so that's where we stand on the artificial intelligence. We don't believe that it replaces. What it does is it scales it so that we can work toe-to-toe with the opposition. We no longer have to, because of this technology, we don't have to catch up. We could actually work toe-to-toe. And that's what, that is our mission, to be able to utilize the, AI to create tools to be able to reach her in the most ethical, the most effective way, the most comfortable way that she wants to receive information.
So I'm really interested. You mentioned Planned Parenthood. They're already using, or the abortion lobby, they're using apps or artificial intelligence called Charlie and Rue. Do those particular programs, do they counsel? Do they kind of, talk with a woman and try to lead her towards making that abortion decision? Or are they also being used to, just schedule an appointment for the woman and kind of get her in after hours?
Oh, no. Everything is about the ideology of abortion. And Rue specifically, talks about, sexual health and just things that are just, like sex working is honorable, things that are just absolutely not in alignment with our basic, faith-filled beliefs. Charlie, does the same thing. It's their tools is ideology and actually conforming to the world and its landscape to actually justify the abortion, utilizing it as healthcare when we know that it isn't. Where Olive is very different. What we're doing is creating a pathway to solutions. We do answer questions like, if a woman says, "Do you provide abortion?" We absolutely say no. We do not. And yet, when a woman is asking about medical, like, is this what do you know about the medical aspect of, let's say, the abortion pill? We don't even talk about that, Peter. What we say is that, why don't you come in and talk to one of our medical staff, right? And let's schedule this. So our whole point to Olive is to make sure that she gets to a life-affirming organization, a pregnancy center, which they are amazing organizations, and so that she can get the truth about about a solution to what she's going through. 6 in 10 women say that they would have chosen life for their baby had they had practical support, emotional and financial support. This is a study that was done with a Turnaway study years ago, and then Charlotte Lozier recently also published it. So the point is, as we utilize these tools, this AI technology, to say, let us talk to you about some of these emotional and practical support that we can give you. So this is a normal thing. I want our listeners to know that from a marketing stand, if you're trying to sell windows, if you're trying to sell cars, there is AI that actually schedules those things for you. It's just that we're getting a lot of opposition because we are talking about the life issue here. And so, yes, I believe that we as a movement, if we embrace AI and we use it ethically, we use it the right way, I think it could really accelerate our impact because these women, this generation, this is how they communicate.
Nelly, so interesting. So many more questions kind of come up for me. But before we get to those, let me just ask if people, maybe there's a pregnancy center listening right now in Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, how do they get a hold of Choose Life Marketing if they're like, you know what, maybe we want to employ some of these AI strategies?
Yeah, absolutely. You can go to chooselifemarketing.com. You could also email info@chooselifemarketing.com and ask for a demo. You'll get to be able to see it, how it works. You'll get to ask any questions that you want that might come into play and actually see it at work. And what this tool, Olive, can conform to the nuances of a pregnancy center that may be different down, let's say, in El Paso, Texas versus, someone in Lansing, Michigan. Mm-hmm. So based on their community, how they talk, what their nuances, what their nomenclature and how they communicate, we are able to make sure that Olive becomes a part of a team that is trained. Yeah. And so, yes, so chooselifemarketing.com.
I love it. Nelly, well, unfortunately, we only got about a minute left here. So just curious, maybe 30,000 point view here. We've accomplished overthrowing Roe v. Wade. What should the pro-life's focus be on now as we kind of get our footing as a movement?
Okay, overturning Roe changed the law, but it didn't change the lived reality for women and families. The underlying pressures that drive abortion are still there. There's fear, isolation, financial instability, lack of access to care, and really the belief that motherhood is incompatible with survival or success. And if we don't address those realities, the demand doesn't disappear. It just shifts forms. So the movement's next chapter, in my opinion, has to be about outcomes. That means building alternatives that actually work, making life-affirming care visible, accessible, and trusted.
Nelly, thank you so much. We got to stop there, but we'll talk to you next week on Say Yes to Life.